and I'll record it. Today is September 19th. It's Sunday night at 6:30. We're at Giving University, all Zoom. We're all used to this because that's how our world is now. We're all Zoom people. We used to touch each other and hug each other, but we don't, we just do it like this now. So anyway, look forward. What's so funny about all this is a lot of times you meet a lot of people on your trip, and it's the first time you meet your team or your group is in Bogota, Colombia, if that's your trip, because everybody's flying in from different places, and you can see we have people from all over the country. We also have people that go to church, and we also have people that don't go to church, and we have some people that go to church twice a year on Easter and Christmas. And so we love everybody at Giving University. We don't have any qualifications that you're a churchgoer or not a churchgoer. And so we do use some of the scriptures for some of what we teach, but we in no way try to offend you or convert you or anything like that. So anyway, it's good to see you all. So we're going to get started, and I think I want to play that one video. So you got to give me a second here to look it up. First of all, I got to find where I'm at here. Does anybody have any questions so far?
Yeah, you in the beginning you said that we had to email someone and tell them that we joined the class.
Yes.
Do you mind posting her email in the chat?
Yeah, I will do that. It's Beth. And hang on just a second. Here's what I'm looking for. I want you guys all to see this one, because that way you know how much fun we have on all this. And oh, there it is. Somebody put it in the chat for me. I got some good help here on this call. So if it all goes well, I'm going to show you one of our projects we did this year on a Giving University. We call it a service trip. And first of all, I got to make sure I share correctly. And we want to share the sound, and we want to optimize for video. And we want to share screen one. So what I'll do is I'm going to start it, and then I'll ask you if you guys all hear it. Did you guys all hear that?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Okay, super. I got to let somebody in I got more people showing up here. So we'll let them in, and I'm going to go ahead and play.
I want to see what I read in the Holy Bible. I believe I could be like the 12 disciples. It's the same Holy Spirit living in me. Ooh, ooh. I wanna be radical for Jesus. Aye, 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 yeah. Radical for Jesus. Aye, 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 yeah. Unapologetically living on my faith. Radical for Jesus. Aye, 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 yeah. Oh.
Bring your doubts, bring your fears, bring your hurt, bring your tears. There'll be no condemnation here. You are holy, righteous, and redeemed. And every time I fall, there'll be those who will call me a mistake. Well, that's okay, 'cause I hear a voice that calls me redeemed. When others say I'll never be I can do to let you down? Does it take a trophy to make you proud? I'll never be more loved than I am right now. Ooh.
Going through a storm, but I won't go down. I hear your voice carried in the rhythm of the wind to call me out. You would cross an ocean, so I wouldn't drown. You've never been closer than you are right now.
Let's sing it loud, y'all.
You are a Jireh. You are enough. Jireh. You are enough.
I'm so grateful for this week and just the opportunity to come out here and build and just be reminded of love and just be reminded of the Lord's love that exists, and to see it when we come to the house and to see it when the family and the kids run up to us with open arms, just wanting to play and wanting to build and wanting to pick up a paintbrush and wanting to help build their house, not having to ask, just seeing their hearts and seeing how the Lord has just put that in them, and just being able to meet this team and being able to work alongside people who just are working for the glory of God and working just with their hearts and working just to give everything that they have to other people. Hugo does an amazing job of that, and the teams that come, I'm just astonished every time that just new people come, and they come with the purpose and with the will and the want to serve.
Wow, that was so much fun this year. A couple of them in there. One of them was my daughter, and one of them was my granddaughter. So we just had a great time. And if you know, the ones of you that know Dan, he did a great job. His family had a great time. His other friends had a great time. So that's just really a little piece of what we do. And I kind of jumped the gun on the way we share class, only because I like to see people see the end result of what can happen. So it's just really exciting. Well, listen, thanks to everybody. We're going to jump into class because we actually have to do a class. So that's what I'm here for. And let me get my slideshow going here, and we'll be done. We have 7 sessions, and I end at right at I'll end at 8 o'clock almost all the time. Sometimes we may go to 8 sessions if we need them. But hopefully we'll get through on 7 sessions. So let me share my screen again. And I think I'm doing it correct. Everybody see a little PowerPoint there? Let's see if I can.
Yes.
Yes, uh-huh.
There we go. So we're going to do a couple sections of high impact generosity. And we don't know everything there is to know about generosity. And we realize that most people have a certain level of generosity already. And we're just trying to encourage and help them grow a little bit in their generosity. So that's what Giving University, we basically are online. We've been going since 2006 or something like that. So we've been going for a while. And we've put maybe 300 or 400 students through our classes. And our mission is with Giving University is this, and I'm going to show you our founder's video in just a second, is to ignite generosity, to encourage generosity, to build generosity, and to leave the world a better place. A lot of people these days have a high interest in sharing and giving and being generous and not just thinking about ourselves. And so that's what we try to do. Our vision is to instill, demonstrate, and promote generosity through informed and knowledgeable charitable giving, and through educating generations on the principles and the impact of giving. And so we just want to share with you what we've learned, and hope, and we're here to learn from you also. So we don't have a corner on knowledge. We want to just encourage people to share what they think with us. You guys all got a handout. It was emailed to you. So if you print that out, it has fill-in blanks. And then also I will email you the presentation from the night. So if you miss writing something down, you get it anyway. So we'll email that out probably on Monday, or tomorrow's Monday, but probably Tuesday. And our mission is accomplished through these classes that apply to people, as I said, all people of faith, people of not faith, people of some faith, little faith, all religions, all political affiliations, and all financial situations. So we try to just not discriminate against anybody for any of these reasons. If we've done classes at places where people are just trying to get out of a tough situation. And then we have classes where we have professional real estate agents and all the other jobs that all of us do. We allow you as students and graduates to propose grants to organizations. By that I mean you will be able to present a grant or a request for a grant to somebody that you have a passion for, that you like, that lives where the focus of the nonprofit is within 100 miles of where you live. And then we provide funds for graduates to go on research trips. We do research trips and service trips. And when you go through class, and the classes, if you're paying attention, everybody graduates. The research trips are generally overseas trips, a little bit bigger trips. Right now we have trips scheduled to Chile, Lebanon, Uganda, Nigeria, Mexico a couple times. So we got all kinds of things scheduled for 2022. We're working on Cuba, and we're also working on Kenya and maybe Ukraine. So we go a lot of different places. Generally, we don't go to Europe. We try to target a little more areas of the world where the need of the general population is a little greater. We do provide fundings for graduates to go on research trips, and what that means is we pay your way. So, when you get on the plane, you have a few things you pay for, but basically we pay your airfare, your hotel, your lodging, your food, everything for an 8-day period. And if we have a fun day or a cultural day, usually we'll let you pick up the tab on that day. But basically, we pay for everything. And then the one trip you just saw, the home build, that was a service trip. And on service trips, we do more hands-on work, and we don't do too much granting of funds. On the big research trip, we fund a lot of grants for those trips, from anywhere from $40,000 to $100,000 per trip. And on the small service trips, we mostly cover your costs to get there. And when you build a house, we buy the house and pay for it and all that good stuff. So the house projects, our goal is to build 6 houses in the next year. So and then sometimes people have additional grant requests, and we take a look at all those. So anyway, that kind of gives you an idea of what we do. Is there any questions so far? How about I do this right? I gotta go grab that link.
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead. I can't see you guys when I'm sharing.
I was just asking what sort of things do research trips? What do we do on a research trip?
Well, the first thing you do is behave and don't go to jail, because we just don't have enough bail money. Now, basically, on a research trip, we just did Bahamas and Colombia. So basically, you got to get a passport, and then because of COVID these days, you have to get COVID testing. We are doing our best not to require vaccinations, but that's a whole different world. So far, of the 4 trips we've taken, I don't know I didn't know if people were vaccinated or not. We didn't have to be vaccinated where we were going. But what you do is you get there, you get on a plane, you go, and for example, on Colombia, you take a kind of a day to get used to the fact that you're in a different place with a different language, with a different culture, with maybe things are a little bit different than your home. And then what you start doing is, we call it a research trip, where you go and take a look at different nonprofits. So you might go look at a food bank in Colombia, you might go look at a shelter, you might look at a women's ministry thing, you might look at an orphanage. So it just depends on the trip. In Cambodia, we went to a special needs facility where they had 100 kids. We went to another facility where the kids really had really bad disabilities. And so just all over the place. We went in Cambodia, we went to a sex trade organization that fights against sex trades. So we mix in about 5 or 6 places that you go on the trip, and then we try to give you a culture day, so you understand a little bit more about Colombia or Cambodia or wherever you go. And so that's what we do. But that's a very good question. Let me share the video. Our founder is Steve Bray. He's the founder of Giving University, also the owner of Power Plus, where some of us work. Here's the other cool thing. If you work at Power Plus, this is really cool. You get all your days, your weekdays are paid for. So you don't use vacation pay, you don't use sick pay. So you need to get working at Power Plus if you want to get all that covered. Power Plus is really extraordinary in that they give us 10 days to do service projects somewhere. And that's 10 paid days every year. The sad part of all that is not enough people do it. Anyway, let me share the screen again, and I'll probably ask you, if you hear it okay.
Hi, I'm Steve Bray. I'm
Everybody hear that okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
the founder of the Giving University, and I want to welcome you to the class tonight. I want to give you a little bit of background on the Giving University and how it came to be. In 2004, I went on a missions trip to Bosnia. A friend of mine asked me if I would support his ministry, and I said, sure. What do you do and how do you do it? And I was curious to see what he was doing in Bosnia. So I asked my oldest son, Chandler, who was 18 at the time, if he wanted to come along with me to Bosnia. And so the two of us traveled to Bosnia, and we toured and saw what they were doing, the work that they were doing in Bosnia. So on the trip to Bosnia, my son and I were beginning to have a conversation about what he thought about the work that was being done in Bosnia. And he asked me, do you really want me to say? And I said, yes, I want your honest opinion. He said, well, Dad, I've seen better work done by high schoolers in Mexico than I do by these apparent missionary professionals. And I said, well, then our work is done here. Let's go. We aren't going to fund this ministry. And he said, is that what we're doing here? And I said, yeah. How would you feel if you just gave the big check to Bosnia, but you really didn't know what they were going to do with it? And that began a conversation with not only my kids, but others about that, about generosity. And so along the way, the following year, I took my second son to India, and they were doing such amazing work throughout the country. And they were helping orphans, and they were teaching the Bible, and they were helping the poor and putting people in wheelchairs and doing all kinds of work all over the place. And we found that we couldn't fund them enough. And so we came home and we really loved that ministry, and we began to fund that ministry. But I had sort of a heartache because I thought, well, what if my kids don't really want to do this with me over and over again? And the Lord gave me a really clear message that He wanted me to make it bigger than about my family or my kids. He wanted me to make it about teaching the attributes of generosity. So from that, I enlisted my employees, Steve Namaroff as our IT head, to help me write the material and begin to disseminate the material. So really, you're a part of, maybe this is the 50th or 60th class. I don't know how many classes we've done, but we take our students all over the world. You're about to be a part of what we deem as a class of conversation, an interactive class. We don't feel like we know everything. It's a learning class, and the dialogue is very important. Your attendance is very important because we can't have the dialogue. This isn't about just getting some material downloaded to yourself or doing the class online. This is about the dialogue and learning about generosity and finding your passion, and then finding out how to find good ministries and investigate those ministries. So the company that I run is called Power Plus, and we fund the Giving University 100%. We're not looking for donations from anybody. We fund it 100%. And then the students of the Giving University, they disseminate the information out. They tell us where the great opportunities are. So you're going to have an opportunity to find a local mission that you can make an impact on, and if it fits in your passion, we want you to tell us how it fits in your passion, and we want to fund that. So we're going to enlist you to help us fund local ministries and local homeless shelters and orphan care and all kinds of things that will be local. And then we have a global impetus as well. And so we will send you someplace in the world to find great global ministries or great global things that are happening, from anything from water wells to helping orphan care. So the point of this opening piece here is for you to understand the basis of this. We're not asking you for funds. We're asking you to help us disseminate the funds into great places. In Isaiah 58, if you read all 14 verses, it talks about the injustice that's happening in the world, and that it's godliness to bring justice to the orphans, to the widows, to the poor, to the homeless. And so that's really what Giving University is about finding great places to bring justice and to ensure that the money is going where it's supposed to go. And so with that, welcome. We appreciate your attendance and your dialogue. And if you have any thoughts or ways that we can improve the class, we would love to know those. So thank you. Hi, I'm Steve Bray. I'm the founder of...
So that gives you a little insight into how this all got started. That's Steve Bray, and he's the owner and does a great job kind of giving us inspiration. Any questions from that video? Let me go back to sharing my screen. So I don't know what happens when you share the screen is I can't see people. So I guess that's just how it is. So that's the kind of our story. We kind of went around and did all this, but I think what I'll do is this. If you didn't get to tell us who you were and where you live and why you're here, there's a couple that jumped in at the end. Did everybody wave at me if you didn't get to say hi? Isabel, did you? There's a Isabel Gutierrez.
Yeah, I said hi.
You did? Okay, thanks. And Jennifer, did you get to also say hi? She must have.
Hello.
Yeah, did you get to say hi to everybody?
Hi, my name is Johanna Mesa. I was having problems with my phone, so I got connected with my sister's phone.
And your name is Jennifer, right? I can't hear you very well, Jennifer.
Hello?
Yeah, is it, what's your last name?
Mesa, M-E-Z-A.
Okay. And tell me about your
Yeah, I was
family.
having problems while connecting with my phone.
Okay, I can hear you a little better now. What do you do? Are you like a mom or do you work or what's up with you? Jennifer, are you there?
Yeah.
Oh, so tell me a little bit about you.
Okay.
Do you have a video, by the way?
Yes.
Why don't you turn your video on? That's one of my rules.
Okay.
I don't like people
Hi.
hiding. Jennifer,
Hi,
tell
everybody.
tell us where you live and what you do.
Political science and international relationship. And right now I'm living in New York.
New York. Oh, okay. And how did you hear?
Yes.
How did you hear about us?
One of my best friends works in Power Plus. So he told me about the classes, and as my career, like we have studied some non-profit organizations. I was really interested in to take the class.
Okay. And what do you do? Did you say what you
Yeah.
did? Are
Right
you
now,
are you a student? Is that what you said?
yes, I'm studying right now.
Okay. And what school?
Yes. I'm taking courses here in New York. It's a school called zoning.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm studying English here.
English. Okay, very good. You're doing good with your
Yeah.
English. I take it you're learning
Thank
English.
you.
There you go.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm trying to do my best.
you're doing a good job. Thanks so much. You're a brave soul.
Thank you.
All right, I think we got everybody. And if I can make this work again. Oh, here we go. I always forget how you make it go backwards. Okay, so I see what we're doing here. We're defining generosity. So what I'd like you to do is write down your best definition of generosity. Just write it down or think about it, and then I'm going to go around and try to see if I can get a couple of you to tell me what you think. The best definition of the word generosity. Okay, the Knopf families, a couple of you, why don't you tell me what you think?
Sure. So we said giving as much as you can to others.
As much as you can, awesome, okay. Diana, Diana.
I said making a small sacrifice to make someone else happy.
Okay, small sacrifice. And let me ask you a question. Do you consider yourself generous?
Yeah.
On a scale of what, I don't usually ask it this way, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at?
I would say 7.
7? Okay, very good. Very good. Imani. What say ye, Imani?
I would say the same, like giving above, giving a little more than I don't know how to put what I'm trying to say, but like giving a little more than what's I guess expected or what's asked, or like giving a little more than that.
Okay. So stretching a little bit. And how would you rate yourself on the generosity scale?
I would say 8.
8? Okay, very good. Or are you gonna get you to a 10? How's that? The 2 on the iPhone, I think it's just one iPhone here. There's 2 iPhones.
Yeah, there's 2 iPhones. Shall I go?
Yeah, go ahead. You spoke up first.
All right. Well, I think it's giving more than what it is that's expected, if you will.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because, some people, when they think generosity, they think finances. And me growing up in a household where didn't really have a whole lot of finances, what I could give was my time. So that's what it is for me.
Okay. Time and finances are almost the same thing. I tell
Yeah.
people a lot of times, another way to look at generosity, let's just say your company says you can work 5 hours overtime without asking. In a lot of ways, if you think about generosity, you could say, hey, instead of, taking that half day off, let me work 5 hours and give it away. And so that's an equivalent way of doing it. The other iPhone people, you're on mute still.
Oh, sorry.
Hi, we're the Davies.
No, I know. I just I got 15 people on this call, so
Right.
I have to go by what I see on the screen. I'm sorry.
So we basically said the same thing. It's giving either financially or giving time, which is, like you said, it's basically the same thing. They're synonymous.
Okay.
And it's basically giving a little piece of yourself to someone who needs it.
Okay. Very good. Where would you say you're on the generosity scale?
Oh, probably like a 6 or 7.
6 or 7. Okay.
I would say 8 for me.
8. Okay. When we say time, one thing that's happened with this COVID nightmare is there's a group called Mary's Kitchen in Orange County, and they feed people basically. And they're almost ready to close down because they don't have funding or finances. And then there's a group that helps them on Saturdays once a month. But what's happened in this 2-year period is the volunteer level was at 50 on a Saturday with that group that helped Mary's Kitchen, and now it's down to 8 or 9. And so one of our goals at Giving University is just to get people to break out again and say, hey, if you want to wear a mask, if you want to get vaccinated, if you want to do whatever, but live a life, be generous, get out there, because people need your help. And so that's kind of one of the concerns we've had. We're doing our best to be a model for people to, go out there and do stuff. Let's see what we have on our official list here of generosity. Let's see, let me go to slideshow. Somebody I think said this: freely giving or sharing things we value for the benefit of others. And you might want to put that in your notes. I think the word I value for the benefit of others is a pretty good statement. I use myself as a poor example of generosity from time to time. I used to have a Suburban, and every once in a while somebody needs an airport running a Suburban, so I always was generous in loaning out the Suburban to most anybody. And then once I got my new Sequoia, I got all ungenerous and selfish because, you know, it's new, it's shiny, it doesn't have scratches. And so you always got to look inside and say, you know, what is it that I'm doing? And you want to be wise about things. I'm not saying we want to be foolish, but you got to take a look at your heart and yourself and say, hey, really what I'm doing. And you know, maybe I didn't want to loan out my Sequoia, maybe I did, I didn't. But if, let's say you set aside that, then look for something else. Like I do IT work. Well, maybe I can build some computers for some people that don't have computers, because people always need that. Maybe I can do some artwork for somebody that needs, you know, would like a nice piece of art. Just whatever you can think of, just think of ways to help people. Money, possession, and talents. Time, that's volunteering and service. Generosity doesn't demand joy. It's nice to have joy, but it doesn't demand it. If I give somebody $1,000 cash, I may or may not have joy, but the person that gets the cash still gets $1,000. So my joy was not, it's nice to have, but it's not a part of, you know, sometimes you can be generous without the joy. And a lot of times in life, doing the right thing doesn't always bring these cool feelings, but it's just the right thing and building that into your life. Doesn't always demand sacrifice. If you have a lot of money and you give $1,000, but let's say you make $1 million a year, it's nice for the $1,000, but it's not really sacrifice. So when you take a look at generosity versus giving, giving could include things that are not valuable to you. Garage sales are pretty typical of stuff. And it's funny because the stuff you paid a lot of money for, you know, the guy buying it from your garage sale tends to think it's all worth $1. I don't know if any of you done garage sales lately, but there's no respect, right? That shirt, that golf shirt you bought, that pair of pants you bought, you know, that was $50 or $100 or $30. A lot of times you just give it away. Giving could be mandatory. A lot of times if you have kids, you teach them to, if you're at a church or you go to church, you might teach them to like tithe. They call it tithing. And the child is really doing it because, you know, the parent is telling them to do it. We consider generosity to always be voluntary. You know, it's something that you choose to do. Which of the following match the definition of generosity? The dad buys a new BMW for his 16-year-old son. A dentist fills cavities for the poor for free. A family donates all the stuff that it didn't sell in the garage sale. A man donates his old cassette tapes to the poor in Jamaica. So, Teresa, what say you?
Okay, I didn't hear the question.
Which of the following, can you see the screen?
Yes, I can.
So which of the following four items under there would match how we just defined generosity?
Sorry, I don't think you're sharing your screen.
Oh, I'm not?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Let's go see what I'm doing here. How about now? That helps out.
Yeah.
Okay, now I can see it.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry about that. Sometimes if I forget to do something, just speak right up. So which of the following match the definition of generosity?
Dentist fills the cavities for the poor for free.
Okay.
A family donates all the stuff they didn't sell in the garage sale also.
You think that's generosity?
No, let me take that one back.
I got stuff you could have. Yeah, basically, I think you nailed it. The dentist In other words, it's whatever profession you're in, you if you can, like let's say you're a mechanic, you repair somebody's car for free, somebody that's poor. And so that's a good call on that. But dad buying a BMW for 16-year-old son, that's nice for the 16-year-old son, but it's not really generosity. And you have to be careful what you're teaching your son. We're going to show you the man on the street video. And so let's see here. Let me go back to it. It's always nice to try to grab these links. I don't know if any of you teach on Zoom, but there's a lot of things going on. You guys can see this okay, right?
Yes.
You guys see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there audio?
Yes.
Nice.
Well, generosity to me is being able to give up something that's important to you, or give up your time and go and help someone else out, whether that be something tangible like money or something, emotionally.
The act of being kind and giving.
Generosity to me is giving. You can either give your time, you can give somebody something materialistic, giving of anything to someone for kind reasons or of need.
Giving to people in need.
What I do with life, giving something back for what you get.
I'd say generosity is a characteristic that more people should probably have because it really benefits a lot of people.
Generosity is giving to others and helping other people. I can't.
Generosity is giving to other people when you don't need to necessarily. Just kind of out of your heart, you just giving out something to someone else because you think you should. Under certain circumstances, yes. It depends on the situation. Sometimes I'm not as generous as I want to be.
I think I'm kind of generous, but I could improve.
I would consider myself a pretty generous person. Growing up in a family with a younger brother, I did take a lot of time to share things with him.
I am. I give a lot to my family, and I give my time to my church and to some different charities when I can.
Yeah, I have been all my life. I'm trying to give back to the homeless. As soon as I get it going, I'll get it going.
I think I'm a generous person because I tend to share with my friends a lot, and I'm not very selfish when it comes to my belongings.
Yeah, I think so. I like helping other people and giving other people.
Yeah, I would consider myself a generous person. If I were to see, one of my friends or a family going through something tough or need help, I definitely would go out of my way and help them with that.
Okie dokie, that's the video on generosity. What do you think of the mom who shares with her family? What's your thoughts about that? Anybody?
Will you repeat the question? We weren't sure we understood it.
Oh, okay. What do you think of the mom who shares with the mom who shares with her family? Anything in particular? Expected?
I mean, it is generosity because it is, but it's also, what a mom does. So it's, sometimes I feel like generosity is more of a choice.
Yeah.
And as a mom, it's just kind of a given that you do those things for your family. But I still believe it can be both. Generosity can still be both. It can be a choice and it can be a given, but.
Okay, it's a little bit in that no man's land.
Right.
Is nice, or is it generous? Is it nice? Is it what you're supposed to do? So I think the point is just to think through stuff that you do in your life And I think sometimes we overvalue our own generosity. And we think everything we do is generous because we show up for work. And so, we show up for work to make money to buy food for our kids. So you have to kind of take a look at the whole picture. So hopefully, what some of what we share here just stirs you a little bit to be thinking about, what you're doing with, as far as maybe stretching a little bit. I don't think I'm sharing my screen, so let me do that again. I'm going to share with you from the Bible's broken up into two parts. The old part, they call the Old Testament, a new part they call a New Testament. A guy named Paul wrote a lot of it for the New Testament. So a quote to consider is this from Paul. Though they have been going through much trouble and hard times, their wonderful joy and deep poverty have overflowed in rich generosity. So Paul was talking about a church, and the church was in deep poverty. Okay, so they didn't have a whole lot of money, a whole lot of cash, a whole lot of money, but they overflowed in rich generosity. For I can testify that they gave not only of what they could afford, but not just more, but far more. And they did it of their own free will. So this kind of really spells out a lot of generosity. Is they were going through trouble. Okay, they were going through COVID, and they were stuck in their homes, and they couldn't work. But their wonderful joy and deep poverty overflowed in rich generosity. This is coming from a person that was outside of the group. And he's saying these guys are really rich in generosity. They gave a lot. I can testify, I can share that they gave not only what they could afford, but far more. Most of us are pretty good about giving a little bit over what we can afford, like 5%. But these words here kind of suggest, maybe a lot more than that, far more. And they did it of their own free will. They didn't, they just wanted to help. They wanted to share with people. From the context, which we didn't show you there, we know that they refers to a group called the Macedonians. And what were the characteristics of the Macedonians? They were going through hard times. They had wonderful joy, deep poverty, rich generosity, gave more than they could afford, and they gave of their own free will. And yes, it is possible to have deep poverty and wonderful joy at the same time. Now, if we actually do that, or we know somebody that does that, that's another thing. Does anybody know of any, forget yourself, does anybody know of anybody that's doing this that you know of? Anybody at all? Maybe a real live today version of that might be, some of the people in Afghanistan probably are in, for one thing, they're probably really afraid. But they're probably people there, and a lot of them are refugees or taking a look at that. And so there might be people there of faith that have deep poverty and are sharing what they have with other people. Sometimes I think that's a little bit tough for most of us because we live in the United States and we are very affluent compared to the rest of the world. Do you have to be wealthy to be generous? And anybody?
No.
No, you don't. A lot of times, I know a lot of times we think the wealthy guy should be more generous because obviously if we were wealthy, we'd be more generous, but it's always easier to kind of throw it on the other guy. But I think we all need to realize in perspective of the world, we are all in the top I think 5%, no matter who we are. And so we're all wealthy. So you know, you can be generous no matter what kind of money you have. How do you apply this passage to your life?
I can share. So in the beginning of COVID, I was experiencing homelessness myself, and I was like couch hopping, so I wasn't sleeping outside. But while I was experiencing homelessness myself, I was also going on the weekends to feed the homeless downtown. And oops, that's how I can apply that to my life, because even though I didn't have a lot, I was still giving to others in need.
Awesome. And how did that make you feel?
Giving always makes me feel good inside, as if I did myself a favor. So
Okay. Sometimes if we have some pain in our lives, it helps maybe take some of that pain and sets it aside or takes it away. That's really good. So COVID hit you pretty hard, I take it, right?
yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? That was really nice. Thank you. So how do we apply this passage to our life? I think the way I apply it is I need to let people use my Sequoia more. But I think the way you do it is, you just have to take things a day at a time, a week at a time, and say, how can I be more generous? And purposely be more generous. I did a Cambodia. I'll just use myself as an example. Sometimes you actually have to use yourself, and you're not really bragging. You're just saying how things work in your life. We did our Cambodia trip, and we saw a lot of really desperation, because Cambodia was a country where 2 million people had been exterminated. It was like Hitler. And so it was just awful, because a whole generation of people had been wiped out. Anybody that was educated, that wore glasses, that was a priest, that was a teacher, that was anything, was exterminated in Cambodia. So we saw the remnant and the effect of that, 20 years later. And it was really a culture that had lost its value. Like, people had no self-confidence. They had nothing, because they'd been destroyed from within. They just didn't have confidence in themselves at all. So anyway, we saw a lot of things. I was in a little hut with I think a man and his wife, and I think one kid was in there. And they lived, it wasn't a dump, but it was kind of a cardboard thingy. And you're just looking at these people, and they make $5 a day, and the father's embarrassed because he's trying to provide for his family. There was a lot of AIDS in that area that was treated. People were had the medicine that controlled it. But anyways, just destitute, and you're just going, wow, I have so much. Well, anyway, when we do our trips, Giving University does about $50,000, and the team decides how to split it up. But we also provide people, and we don't ask for money, but we do provide our people an opportunity to be generous. And so I remember I was going to donate $1,000, because Giving University also matches what the group raises, for pretty much. And all of a sudden, out of my mouth, I said $5,000. And I go, "Whoa, what did I just say?" And sure, it was a little bit of the overwhelmingness of the situation, probably, that I got caught up in. But once I donated the money, and 3 months later, it didn't affect my life at all, except I had been more generous than I would normally be, because I had been stretched a little bit. So that's kind of one way that applied to my life. And because I teach this once in a while, I tend to think about it a little bit more, because I got to teach it. And when you teach it, you want to live what you're sharing with people. And so that's also another way that I'm affected. One way I try to get the people on our trips to think about things is, I always say, why don't you high five one of these groups? And by that I mean, give them $5 a month and get on their email list and just engage with them. Be part of the journey. Of course, you can go up from $5 a month, but start somewhere, because you know, if you don't do anything, you're not getting anywhere. But if you start somewhere, you can grow your application. Finding your passion. Passion's an interesting word.
Oh,
That's
you're
what
not sharing your.
Oh, there we go. Busted again. There we go. So we're going to talk a little bit about finding your passion. Passion is a word that means a lot to some people. Other people like myself sometimes think it's a little dramatic. So another way is looking is finding your interest, your commitment, your something that you really want to do. I think would be another way to take a look at this. Identify as many types of people that are in need of generosity. People who are living in poverty. It's like our friend just shared. She was without a regular home, kind of were homeless, but she identified a group of people that needed some help with food. So there's people out there. There's plenty of people out there. We show you how to locate people that are living in poverty. And so that's, one group that's really in need, homelessness, water and food, people who are sick, people who are oppressed. There's a lot of human rights violations, a lot of racism, a lot of, sometimes I think racism is a little bit overused term, but a lot of times there's people that don't have as much opportunity. Maybe that's another way to express it. And sometimes they're oppressed by people that have more than them. People who don't have a loving family. People who are affected by a disaster. There's a group we work with that works in the disaster areas, and there's been a lot of tornadoes and things going on in this time of year. And one of the things we've done is we've had people trained in emergency skills, and they're able to help on these trips for 7 to 10 days if they want to. People who need skills, job training and literacy. People who need spiritual guidance. Some of the passions or the interests or the commitments do not directly address people in need. And that's what in Giving University, we really focus on the people. And so some of these things are important, but we don't focus on it in what we teach, not because not that it's not important, we just focus on people in need. But there's animals, political causes, the environment, and pure medical research. And so when you won't have much homework this week, but when you start looking at who you're going to help out with a grant, don't pick these because we'll just move you to people in need. And so we're trying to give you kind of the list to not do. The word passion is a powerful or compelling emotion or feeling or commitment or interest, I think is another way to put it too. It it goes well beyond just knowing about stuff. And it compels you to action. In other words, you want to. And so, if you're not everybody gave themselves pretty high grades, for generosity. But if you're a person that's a 1 or 2 and you're here for some reason, we just want to see if we can help you find a place that you want to help, in being generous. So what I'd like you to do this week is spend some time contemplating which types of people you are most passionate about. And so take a little bit of time and think about that. And then select one type and write a few sentences on why you are passionate about these people or think you could be compassionate about them. And can anybody give me maybe some things you're thinking about? Give me a few examples.
I would say like marginalized groups, like the African American community, because they're pretty underserved.
Okay. Anybody else? When I was in Serbia, there was a group called the Pygmies. I think it's called the Pygmies. And they're the most disliked group of all the people groups in that country. And towns wouldn't even let them come in. They just make them live by themselves because they're rather not clean. And so, you know, that was a group that we kind of had an interest in trying to help them learn how to get some skills on just living and then how to make a living. There's some ways to look at that. Anybody else? Some other things that you guys like out there? Mr.
The homeless people.
Hey, homeless.
Yeah.
We have our share in California anyway.
Yeah, we do here too.
Probably all over the place.
Yeah. So I unmuted because my daughter had one and she's embarrassed to say it, but go ahead and say it.
Old people like that don't have homes, and it just like it makes me sad to see people living on the street, especially when they're like older.
Okay. And there's also old people in homes.
Exactly.
That don't get any attention from anybody a lot of times.
Exactly.
So very good. Well, don't be embarrassed, okay? Just because it's your mom.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And just because you're a teenager. Like,
exactly.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
It's common. I'm a grandpa, and you know, when they're 2 to 7, they kind of like you a lot. And then around 11, they start like chilling a little bit on you, except when they need money or food or you know, whatever it is. It's like my grandson came to me at the football game, and you know, he needed $2 to buy something he didn't really need out of a vending machine. So I think I gave him $10 or something. I said, well, yeah, give me some and bring me the change, but I never saw him again. So anyway, that's how that is. Well, very good. I'm going to play one more video. It's a GU thank you video, and it's with one of the groups we worked with down in Mexico, a man that has a lot of generosity. And that's right here. And does anybody know Josh, by the way? Any of you know Josh? Karina, do you know Josh? Well, anyway, we'll come back to. No, okay. Well, I'm going to share with you a little bit. Before I do that, any questions so far? Everybody got their printouts printed and all that good stuff? Like I know you always do. Next week is a tough week, just so you know. We talk about tax returns and stuff like that. And it's kind of boring and it's hard. And so it'll be our hardest week. So I'm just giving you a little prep. Enjoy this week. So, anyway, let me play this video for you. Let me go to screen 1, share.
Hey,
you can hear that okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right, here we go.
Giving University, this is Dave Edmondson. We put together just a brief video to share with you how we have invested the gift that you have given us. We are changing lives. We are touching a very poor community. We're caring for the orphan in Baja. And because of Giving University, we have been able to do tremendous things this year. Just want to share a little bit about those things. Thank you so much. Giving University has been so instrumental in helping us care for the orphan in Baja. You know, just 2.5 hours away from Orange County is a whole nother world. It's a world where there's no child protective services to speak of, and there's a lot of people in need and a lot of children in distress. And we are so thankful for Giving University's understanding of the plight of the orphan, specifically in Baja, and the fact that they have come alongside us and really shared their passion for caring for the poor and for meeting the needs of people that can't help themselves. And it's such a privilege to be a part of it. There is extreme poverty very close to where we're at, and we feel compelled to do what we can do to relieve that. And the fact that Giving University understands that and even takes it one step further and teaches people about mercy, justice initiatives, generosity, and then gives them a tangible way to begin to figure out what it means to care for people is absolutely brilliant. So we're just so grateful for the opportunity to be a part of what Giving University is doing. Giving University truly has been the wind in our sails. When we were building the orphanage, before we had any children, when this was a prayer and a dream, Giving University came alongside us year after year in multiple ways, encouraging us, strengthening us, giving us resources and gifts to help us push us further along on the journey of opening. It's just amazing to us that an organization like this could see the potential and then come alongside us. And the fruit of what the foundation that we've laid through the years with Giving University is now multiplying like crazy. The lives of children are changing. Kids are being strengthened and nurtured and cared for and educated. And it all goes back to the foundation of us actually building this orphanage and getting it open. One of our big priorities, initiatives, mission is to make sure that as we raise the kids that we're entrusted with, we raise them to be outwardly focused, for them to love their neighbor. We want all the kids at the orphanage to be caring for those in need. Giving University has given us a tremendous gift to be able to go out into the really poor neighborhoods surrounding the orphanage and feed the poor. But not only that, there's so much benefit to it because our kids have an opportunity to put together food baskets, go into the poor areas, leave a tangible gift behind that will feed a family of 4 for 8 days. But also we're training the hearts of our children that we're responsible for to give back and to know that there are people in greater need than they were. And it's healing for our kids to be able to give back. And it also really sets them on a trajectory of this is how we do life. We are a generous people. We do practice generosity. We look out for those that are in need. And Giving University has really been the platform for us to be able to raise our kids to be generous people. As we go into the poor neighborhoods and do what we can to help people, it's not just a one-time, here's a food basket. It's a relationship where people are drawn to the local church, where people find community, actually where they find relationship, and ultimately they find employment. So when they are invited into a community that's healthy and thriving, people grow, people change because they have opportunities. And that all goes back to spending the generous gift that Giving University gave us to draw in people that are on the outside and to help them be equipped for life. We ran into a gentleman, his name is Jose. He was involved in a work accident where his ankle was injured. He went to the local hospital, but because he has no money and he's poor, the hospital did not treat him properly, and the end result is his leg was removed above the knee. He didn't even know his leg would be removed. He woke up and his leg was gone. So now this man has no way to work and no way to care for his family. One of the many things we've done because of the generosity of Giving University is we are now in the process of getting Jose a prosthetic leg. He will walk again, and because of that, he will be able to work and care for his family. Again, just one example in many of us being able to deploy the resources given to us to benefit the lives of people. I had mentioned it before. I think that Steve Bray's genius ability to see the fact that Giving University could impact the lives of many people. It's brilliant. To be able to gather people, teach them about generosity, and then be able to have them have a way to express it and grow in it is absolutely brilliant. So we applaud what Giving University does, and we're the proud recipients of that. We are so grateful. Giving University, it's an absolute privilege to be linked with your mission. We are so grateful, and we're so thankful that you've entrusted us with resources to touch the lives of many, many people. We'd like to say a warm-hearted thank you. And as you already know, the money that you have gifted us goes a long way. And because of your generosity, lives are changing, kids are being strengthened and encouraged, communities are changing, and Jesus' name is becoming famous. Thank you so much.
I just love helping those guys. Dave's such a great guy. He started that orphanage. It's a really nice orphanage, by the way. Well, that's why it was so fun. It's on the bluffs overseeing the Pacific Ocean. So if you're going to be an orphan, go to that orphanage. So it's primo. But he's such a great guy. He flips houses. That's what he does in Orange County. He has a crew and he does all that for a living, but he's almost down there every weekend. During COVID, he missed maybe 2 or 3 weeks, but he just stayed at it. And, he's been with these kids now for 10, 11, 12 years. And some of them are getting to the point where when you're 18, you're not allowed in orphanages anymore, I think is the rule. So he's now working on building a house, kind of a halfway house in this town. So those kids kind of have a bridge to, get a job and to get to the next place. Hey, Jennifer, turn on your video real quick. I'm going to take a group picture. Also, we're on Facebook. It's Giving University page. Love to have you there. We keep it pretty well up to date on what we're doing. Stuff we do, people we know. Why don't everybody wave at me? This little picture will be on Facebook, telling people we have classes. Thanks for coming and trusting us with, this isn't just a crazy idea, because we do what we say we're going to do. I have a lot of friends that don't even believe me after all these years. And I say, hey, we take care of everything for you. We're like, it's real. We do trips, we do stuff, we do great things. So thanks for coming. Think a little bit about who your nonprofit could be. Maybe go online, take a look, kind of poke around. I'll give you a little hint. Let me ask you a question. How many nonprofits do you guys think are in the United States? iPhone lady, I forget your name, but why don't you give me a number?
Lydia, it's okay. Nonprofits in the United States. 2000.
2000. Amani, give me your best shot.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, how many nonprofits do you think are in the United States? So far, we have 2,000 as a guess.
3,500.
3,500. Diana, how about you? Give me your best shot. Bring your A game, Diana.
I don't know. I feel like it's a lot. I don't know.
There you go, a lot.
8,000. I don't know.
8,000. Okay, we're getting closer. Karina, what about you?
12,000.
12,000, and then the Knapp family. Give me one number from your family. Are you guys watching this on a big screen, right? Wow.
I think it's a lot more. I think it's maybe
a million.
no, 100,000.
100,000.
Yeah.
And then who's the last one here? Who wants to give me a number?
75,000.
75,000, 100,000. So you guys won't believe this, and I never believed it till I went through class. There's 1,500,000 nonprofits in the United States. There's a lot of them. So that means a couple things. There's a lot of good ones, and there's a lot of ones that aren't so good. And so there's plenty to pick from, even where you live, wherever you live, there's something going on. We use a thing. We use a link called guidestar.org. And that's how we'll talk about it next week. That's how we get you to help find stuff if you're having trouble. Because you can look them up by zip code, by what they do, by how much funding they get, all kinds of stuff, but it's 1.5 million. It's a lot. And so one of the reasons we do this class is so you make really smart decisions about where you're going to invest that $1,000 and then whatever you decide you want to do. And we do this, this class helps a lot of people. We had a lady in South Orange County. She had given an organization $125,000 and it was a fraud. The guy went bankrupt. And so she was like never going to give anybody anything ever again. And I didn't blame her. But we had her come to class and we kind of trained her on GuideStar. And because of that training, she was able to weed out to a great degree, that kind of stuff. So that's what we're here to help you with. So listen, everybody, thanks so much. Any last minute questions? Remember to email Beth. So she's usually here, but I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have 14 of you. So I'm going to tell her, there was 14. I just don't know everybody's name. How's that? So anyway, thanks so much. Have a good week. Be generous.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.